Good morning, fellow futures traders, forex traders, friends, and family. It's time for the market forecast Tuesday, February the 23rd. As always, we're going to look at these markets with a consistent context, consistent lens, and through the lens of risk management. How are you this morning? Hopefully you're feeling good. I got Lacey over here barking at me, so if you hear a little noise behind me, that's just the dog. She's eaten. She's been out. She's okay. She just misses us, I guess. Anyways, as far as the eco numbers this morning, 8 o'clock just now, the Case-Shiller and FHFA housing price index is just out. Haven't had much of a chance to see any response or answers on that yet this morning. We'll take a look at that after the profile here, after the forecast. 9 o'clock this morning, consumer confidence due out. And also we have Chairman Powell speaking before Congress today and tomorrow. One of the major topics, I'm sure, is going to be inflation, as they are planning, at least the Fed for now is planning on letting the economy run hot as to quicken the COVID recovery economically. Lots of kind of upward price pressures, upward inflationary pressures. I know that they'd like to keep it around 2%. We're seeing some changes in the treasury markets, of course, the yield curve increasing and lower yields, actually higher yields, I should say, lower pricing, kind of pricing in some possible inflationary pressures here in the future. It's going to be interesting to see what the good chairman has to say. I think more importantly than what he has to say is going to be the question and answer sessions afterwards. We'll try and have to keep an eye on those, because if he does say something unusual or unexpected, it's going to affect the marketplace. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on that as the day goes on. Everybody's favorite, the cryptos, the Bitcoin and Ethereum, have hit a little bit of a sell-off here. Both of them off around 20% in the last 2 days. Apparently after a tweet from Elon Musk, who just bought a whole bunch of it, saying he thinks it's too high. Maybe it was because he was the weekend. It was too high. I don't know. Anyways, U.S. stocks are set to open lower again yet today, kind of led by the NASDAQ. NASDAQ, which has been presenting as the strongest of the four, has now been kind of hit the most, I would say, and is closer to a possible market state change than the other three. We're going to have to see how things play out. Don't forget, without bad news, the equities tend to just keep grinding higher. So if there's some temporary bad news in the marketplace, it might just be another good opportunity to look for chances to buy into some longer-term investments, quite possibly. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. Nobody can claim to know what's going to happen. I certainly don't know what's going to happen. But I'm always looking for the opportunities to buy cheap, if that is in the cards coming up here. If we remember last year in February and March, we had a pretty big correction, about 30% in the S&Ps. But that was when we were coming into this whole situation we're in with this virus and everything else. So I'm not expecting anything like that. A lot of this is, commodities increasing in prices. We've got grains. We've got a lot of the metals set to move higher or continue higher. I think we've got a little bit of a possible change in gold here, and silver is just continuing to kind of coil in an upward triangle. And when we break out the top of that triangle, I think we're going to see some pretty good stars coming out for some of these metals. Of course, copper we've already seen moving to the upside, and gold and silver a little bit lagging, but I think those have probably some of the biggest potential. As far as earnings, we've had Home Depot out already beating earnings expectations. Medtronic, kind of a mixed number. Crocs, everybody's favorite weekend shoe, has also beaten expectations. We're looking for Square and Intuit after the close. Make sure you like, share, comment, question, feedback, and heckling are always welcome here at the Market Forecast and the Market Recap. Speaking of the Market Recap, it was really nice to see Dan back in the seat yesterday. I know we all missed him, and it's good to see that he is doing well. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you get the chance. You can get notifications when we do go live. We do appreciate the comments, questions, the likes, and the heckling, of course. The VIX, just looking at it just a few minutes ago, up another 6% this morning. I said it was up 6% yesterday, up another 6% today. 24.86 last time I looked, and the dollar index continuing to drag closer down towards that 90 level. Right now it's at 90.19, actually a little higher than it settled yesterday. So dollar continues to wrestle with that 90 level. All right, let's say hello to everybody. I like to do that. Danielle, guten Tag, first one in the room, you win the prize. Tanya, good morning. James, MS Capital, Murph, going to be another amazing day, yes indeed. Love the possibility, the positivity, Murph. Ralph, good morning. Magnum, Bill, Bulldozer, Brian, Rob T, Mike Kaczynski, good to see you back. Vlad, Rick, my brother, good to see you as always. I wish I got to see you as much as you get to see me. Troy D. McGregor, good to have you back. Caesar, Esteban, Laura, Will, Felix, Angelina, Ben, good to see you. Mike Magallanes, the chef's in the room. Art W, Prophet Eon, Andre, Oleg, Mr. Shine's Mystery Channel, Yellow, Vast West, Ashton, Richie, Jason, John, and Shady Trader. Oh, Shady Trader, I've got my little note here for us to take a look at that market profile stuff in the group coaching tomorrow, which, by the way, maybe I should put that URL, maybe I should put that link in, so if you're interested, you can join us for group coaching tomorrow. I'll put that in right now. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Nick. If I see some new names here, welcome to the Market Forecast. We're hopeful it's going to be some good information and some things you can use in your day. We don't really think directional. We look more at interesting areas and interesting levels, and we take a look at how the market is doing from the auction side of the process. How is volume? How is open interest? What direction is the market attempting to go, if any? And how good of a job is it doing getting there? Excellent, Shady. So again, if I see some new names, welcome. Glad you're here. Let's take a look now into the charts, which, let me get this up here. We've got them nice and solid this morning, starting with the daily and crude. All right, so where am I? Here I am. Okay. So rollover is, for all intents and purposes, over. There's maybe about 5,000 in open interest left in the March contract. Not much. So yesterday we saw a pretty good move in the upside direction. It brought in some pretty substantial open interest, an additional estimated 5,700 in open interest on this move back to the upside. We have the previous weekly kickoff level here, which was 60.80. That's with this week's weekly kickoff level. 59.80 was last week's. We've left that behind now. We're holding now above that 60.70 level with that pretty decent move to the upside on pretty good volume. The volume wasn't all that impressive, but what I am impressed about is the open interest that we added yesterday. Okay, we should be removing open interest as the March contract expires. We added open interest. So we had some money coming into this upside yesterday. Rollover pressures are starting to release on this market. We're going to get 3 weeks of pretty solid volume and open interest information. And I'm looking forward to seeing this market. This market is back on my radar, and I'm looking forward to finding some decent opportunities. Now, I don't want to get too excited. I don't know when these opportunities or when they're going to occur. We've got settlement right up here at 61.70, I should say. We got a little bit too long overnight. We've reconciled those longs. We are returning back into range and possibly back into value. Which might be kind of bringing us another opportunity for a chance at seeing an opportunity here at 60.70 weekly kickoff high, which, as it may have been somewhat resistant might end up being somewhat supportive. So we get too long in the overnight. We look for the market to come back to settlement. We look for the market to come back to point of control. This is looking like a bit of a target-rich environment here between 60.70 and maybe 60.55. Our value low from yesterday, a previous value low from last week. Just a lot of eyes on this area. So I'm going to try and stay patient now that the market is back in range and back in value, looking for opportunities to buy this market on weaknesses. Okay, anything above 60.70 where we can find some sort of structure to lean on to limit our risk are the areas that I'm interested in. The S&Ps, going to have to change my percentage of pullbacks here soon, perhaps. All right, so we've got we've seen here this morning a true test of the weekly kickoff low level 38.58. It was holding above there before. As we get closer to the open, it seems as though the market is continuing to kind of push to the downside, down below that level. Now, this is an important level. It was a balance area high on the way up. We were looking for this market to maintain some support there. It looks as though we're going to open in our regular trading hours with a gap and below this level. This is important information. The downside volume remains relatively steady when we see the market kind of coming off this. We're maintaining volume. It's not like volume is falling off, but we aren't bringing in a lot of open interest. There's not a lot of money coming into the short side, at least not yet. At least not yet. So take a look at the 30. I mean, this is really what I'm going to be looking at for daytime frame information here. So here is our 38.58 weekly kickoff level here. We were looking at it overnight. We got it down below it. We've come back to it and found resistance there. This is good information. We might be looking for an opportunity to sell a strength back towards that level if given the opportunity. We have a gap. We have overnight shorts. We have a gap. If we can't fill the gap, if we can't get above weekly kickoff low here, that might be our opportunity to look for points lower and for opportunities to the downside. This longer time frame level recently in play as of about 6 this morning, but seemingly leaving us behind. So one of the things I will be watching this morning is on that opening range, that first minute of trade. Yesterday, it wasn't very fruitful in some of these markets, and that tends to happen. When people are looking at it, the more people that look at it, the less likely it is to perform to our benefit, but it still tends to be one of the cheaper opportunities. So I'll be watching that opening range. First minute, see if it's left at either the dead high or the dead low. If it's left at the dead low, I'm going to look for an opportunity to take a profit back up here near this weekly kickoff level. And if it leaves the opening range at the dead high, that might be an indication that sellers might be in control and for a bigger continuous move down to the downside. So watch that opening range. It's also going to be true in the NASDAQ. Now the NASDAQ has been presenting as stronger. It always is going to have more room to the downside when it has been more extended to the upside. Step one, state break. Yesterday, good volume, adding 5,000 in open interest in the preliminary. The estimated number, we've seen volume increase to the downside. We've also seen money coming into the downside. This move to the downside might be actually gaining steam. We got some decent volume here already, even before the open. Our next swing low, which I'd be looking for an eyeball target, is 12,727. This swing low right here. This is a previous weekly kickoff level that may or may not become useful for us at some point today. Everybody's going to be keeping those eyes on the Powell testimony, especially any question and answer sessions might be, anytime he has to speak on the fly, you never know what he's going to say. So again, gap rules, Where is my settlement here? Let me get that put on here. 13,224 and a quarter. 13,224 and a quarter. I'm going to say that's close enough for rock and roll. And so we've got settlement right at the bottom. We've got previous weekly kickoff level here. Here's our real weekly kickoff level. Finding support there, blasting through it today. We know that we've got a swing low down below. That again is 12,727. And we will be, in another opening range possible situation. Thing about the NASDAQ is the opening range tends to be so big, all it does is increase the risk. I suggest once the opening range leaves one side at the high or the low, look for a pullback inside the opening range to get your execution. And you have to see. I mean, I know I got a question here. What time is Powell speaking? I think he's speaking at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern. Gold. Okay, commodities are starting to rise on inflation fears. We're seeing some fears coming into the market, and the VIX, which is also up another 6% today. The tight weekly kickoff level, I think, is paying off for us. By tight weekly kickoff level, I mean this 1800 kickoff high and this 1760 kickoff low, which was Friday. This is Monday. We broke out Monday. We added 1900 in open interest. The volume was okay, not great. But I think we're getting closer and closer of being at risk of bringing enough money to the long side to push this market out of this kind of short time frame and kind of medium time frame funk that it's been in. And I think we may be looking for some higher prices here coming soon. So we do have a potential breakout, not necessarily off weekly kickoff low, some points higher. We're going to probably see some resistance, and when we can get above those, we're certainly thinking of turning buying weakness already, and we're going to have to see how, of course, that plays out. Open interest is the thing that tells me that this breakout above this level might actually mean something. The 30-minute, however, is not that indicative of looking for opportunities early in the session here. Okay, here's our weekly kickoff high. We had some resistance at it overnight. We broke out. We've come back. We've got value low here as an interesting area for an execution. This whole area between weekly kickoff low and this value area low, as well as the overnight low, looks very interesting. This looks like a kind of a high target area for me. So I'll be looking to take maybe an execution down at this level one way or another. The fact that we're opening with no overnight inventory, we basically kind of opened right at settlement. We looked higher, we looked lower, we opened at settlement. There's no major short time frame, weaker hands open inventory in this market. We've opened in range and in value. It's going to tell me that I've got time. I can be patient. I can look for better trade locations as the day goes on, and that's the way I'm going to treat this. I've done nothing, and I'm going to be waiting for the initial balance extremes to be established or opportunities near our overnight low or even perhaps our overnight high. Let's take a look at our currency and our treasury, and we'll get down to business. We got about 9 minutes left before the open. Good volume was pretty good on this up move yesterday. Okay, we increased volume. We had a pretty big open interest boost, 8,200 contracts to the long side, breaking out above this trend line, which almost has three touch points here. It looks as though this is a first kind of break to the upside, a break away from the downside. In a short time frame, I'm going to go maybe medium time frame structure we've seen in this market. This to me is step one. Step two is going to be breaking out above weekly kickoff high. Potential change is more probable because we've seen a pretty good jump in open interest. Now, remember, this open interest is preliminary. It's an estimation, but it should be probably pretty close. So let's take a look at the 30. And so no, not anything real as far as overnight inventory is concerned. We might be thinking it might be a little bit short, if anything, but like gold, we're right in the middle of value, right at the point of control from yesterday. This is a very comfy area for this market to kind of hang out and digest for a little bit. Look for opportunities near our overnight low, which line up nicely with value low from yesterday, and a potential move higher. Do we take out the overnight range, overnight high? Our next stop would be that weekly kickoff high of 12200. Treasuries, kind of similar. Last time I checked, got an inside day and extended trading hours. Volume was all right yesterday, but not tremendous if we're looking at a continuing auction to the downside. Open interest, we added 107,000 contracts, which is largely rollover related because tomorrow we'll probably be trading the June treasuries because today is rollover day. The day has started out with more volume in March, but by tomorrow we should be trading June. Knowing that, looking at that huge boost in open interest, it kind of blurs our vision as to the success or failure of the auction to the downside, because a lot of that is related to the open interest. All right, so let's take a look at the 30. I hate it when that happens. Over here, there you go. Here's the 30. Looking at it just a few minutes ago, it was basically opening in range and in value. No overnight inventory. We've got this 3,500, 135 even area of a weekly kickoff low here. We tested down to it night before last. We've never really given it a true test during regular trading hours, and I'll be looking forward to seeing that opportunity if it presents itself. For now, this market is off my radar because of rollover, but if we do get an opportunity where near one of my important inflection levels, I will look into an opportunity there if, again, it is presented to me. So let's see here. Okay. Want to get done here in just a couple of minutes. Josh, congratulations. Roger, your first live video you're catching. Hopefully you like it. Josh, again, good job. Do you think Powell is more dovish when stocks are down? I think he's probably more focused on the overall economy. I mean, stocks are off a little bit off the highs, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think we're in that much of a danger of a deep pullback. That said, watch what happens. Anytime you put something like that out in the universe, the opposite seems to happen. Josh and Roger. Oh, you guys both got through step 2, so you're both getting funded. Congratulations. Great job. Love to hear that. That's what we're here for, is we are looking forward to your success. Kevin, good to see you back. Rewatching now. There you go. Panic sellers at market open may fuel a crash. Lighter. I know we've got somebody else in here kind of talking about the market is crashing. JP, market crashing. Well, we have to see what happens. We've got resistance at that weekly kickoff low. We've got our overnight low below that. We'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look. And let's take our deep breath now. Stay humble, grateful, and creative in your trading today. So glad to see everybody. Don't forget to watch the Coach's Playbook today at about 11:30. We'll see Dan for the market recap again today. So glad Dan is feeling better. And I will see you again tomorrow morning. Tomorrow is Wednesday, So you're going to see a lot of me tomorrow. I'll be doing the market forecast as well as the group coaching session, which I do so enjoy. Hopefully you do as well, and you find it useful and helpful in your trading. All right, so on that note, get out there and profit today. Trade well. We'll see you later on.